Howdy, howdy. Welcome to another episode of We Talk Sports presented by We TV. We are in March finally, so a lot of madness upcoming and a lot of hoops about to be played. As always, I'm Dom Sani, the host of We TS. Joining me is my co-host Jacob Pendergraph, Owen Fleming, and later on, special guest chats with Cats host Alexander Hoffman. Welcome, guys, to another episode of We Talk Sports. And I know, Jacob, you're a little excited right now.
Deebo!
Some NFL trade news going on. Deebo Samuel from the 49ers to the Washington Commanders in exchange for a future fifth-round pick. Interesting
Trade season started out.
Trade season is going great, everybody.
Yeah.
All we have to do to build the Dream Commanders 2025 roster is get Myles Garrett.
I figured you would
it's
say
that easy.
It's that easy. It's that easy.
That's all they have to do. It's a great deal.
Honestly, you didn't have to do a whole lot to get Deebo Samuel.
No, just a fifth-round pick. That's a Coke and a candy
I think the
bar.
Niners just wanted to get off his salary.
Yeah.
so
His
they
salary.
just sent
They
him where
are
wanted to go.
much in cap, like purgatory right
And
now.
they got to pay Purdy this year.
They pay Purdy. They have CMC on their docket, as well as Bosa and a whole bunch of other guys.
I think Deebo is going to be a great addition to that Commanders offense.
I think so too, especially considering his age is going to be in his 30s. So it'll be a great compliment to Terry McLaurin. And yeah, I mean, I think it's solid for you. I think the 49ers, I think they have a replacement in for Deebo, especially with who was it?
Well, they drafted.
Brandon Ayuk, right?
They have
Ayuk's gonna be their
Juwan
number-
Jennings as
injury,
well.
and they
Juwan-
drafted that receiver in
They
the
all-
first, Ricky Pearsall.
Pearsall. So they still have like a plan post Samuel, especially with Ayuk, and they gave him that massive extension before the season. So I would say this trade for Samuel, depending on where he was going to go, was just inevitable at this point.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about Deebo on the Commanders is he's a very tough, physical dude. He might eat like crap. That's fine. But he's a very tough, physical dude, and, he's going to be the Marshawn Lattimore of wide receivers.
Both in what?
Well, Lattimore didn't play that well in the
Well, yeah,
postseason,
but
so I
he
don't
made
know
it
if you want him
entertaining
to
to
be
watch.
Lattimore.
We didn't need him to play well.
Yeah, that's
he
true.
was very
I
entertaining
mean, I think
to watch.
he won't be the wide receiver one.
No,
that's
he
still
won't be.
Terry's
I
gig,
think
so
you'll
he's gonna
see-
have some opportunities.
And it'll
I think.
provide. It's just another weapon for you put all your best receivers. Like we saw this with the Falcons. They put all their best corners on Terry McLaurin. They locked him up. Now you got to worry about Deebo Samuel on the other side of the field, and he's absolutely cooking one of your backup receivers because he's Deebo Samuel. He might be old, but it's going to be some young buck who might not have the experience, and Debo's going to push off with him. The refs aren't going to throw the flag.
Yeah.
And, that's just a free man downfield.
I think especially with Cliff Kingsbury as the coordinator, they'll get creative with their plays.
Yeah.
Just run some like laterals and stuff like that.
And sometimes he got used
jet
as a running
sweeps.
back, so
Yeah.
you'll have some packages.
Yeah.
designed
You guys
for
have
him,
some
I believe.
packages.
Yeah,
You guys-
we have. It's a wide range of offense.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it's a good start to your off season, I would say.
Absolutely.
We're starting off this off season strong. I'm very happy about it.
Made some splash moves, and not over yet. We still got free agency,
Next
the
week.
draft, and just a bunch of different things to go for.
I know.
Forgot about that. It snuck up on us.
I know already for
Time
free
to
agency.
get overhyped about the Panthers' chances off some mid-tier
Oh,
free
yes.
agency signings, baby. Woo!
Never know. Never know.
You never know.
One free agent move could change the course of that franchise forever.
Sometimes they can change it in negative ways, like Albert Hainsworth.
I know.
But,
I guess, and then I
they
guess
can change it in good ways.
I guess keeping in the NFL news before we go off to talking about some college hoops. You guys heard about Stafford?
He's staying, which
He's
makes
staying.
the most sense for
Yeah.
both sides, I think.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of money in the bank. The Rams were very close to the Super Bowl last year. It doesn't really make sense to go to the Giants or the Raiders for a little bit more money.
I think the best pairing for me would have been more the Raiders just because of that veteran kind of idea, especially with Pete Carroll at the helm. I think that would have helped out a lot. But I understand why Stafford wanted to stay. That's a contending team right now, and he's in his late 30s.
He's in Hollywood.
He's in Hollywood, doesn't need to go anywhere, and heading to the Raiders would have been good, but I also thought that the Rams would have also maybe thought about moving him and signing Sam Darnold to possibly, because I think him moving from, was it McConnell's system all the way to Sean McVay's system would have probably transitioned well.
Yeah, I think they might have just seen those last few Darnold games.
I don't-
Maybe we just stick with our guy. He's a little more proven.
But even then, they might have paid, because that Rams team isn't paying a whole lot.
No, which is also why I think it makes sense for him to stay, because
Yeah.
they can afford to build around.
They can
him
afford it, and they're
somewhat.
going to have Cooper Kupp, which also is
Well,
still on the
they're
table.
going to trade Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I know.
still,
That's the thing. I
believe.
said
Yeah,
also.
Why they're doing that?
Most,
old, I guess.
I guess older.
It
He
doesn't
had a
really
great
make a lot of
season.
sense.
I know,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
know.
He had a great season.
I think
make
both
so much sense to
both
me.
him and the organization are kind of trying to move forward, but.
I think
Yeah.
it's cap stuff, like
Yeah, probably
the
is.
That
Deebo
too.
things. Yeah.
But that, in fact, will do it for our NFL segment. Thank you, Jacob. We will be transitioning to introduce our guest, I should say, Chats with Cats host, Alexander Hoffman.
Hello, Catamounts.
Jacob knows him very well, as we all do.
Yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to WTS. We are now joined by Chats with Cats host, Alexander Hoffman. He's going to be talking about the SOCON. As you know, we're at Western Carolina University, a SOCON school. So Alex, a big-time Catamount fan, is going to be giving us the rundown and helping us out figure out who's going to win the SOCON and make that bracket.
Yeah.
Hello, Catamounts. This is not Chats with Cats, but let's go ahead and jump into this. We have a pretty interesting set of matchups. We'll go ahead and obviously start with WCU and their matchup in the quarterfinals of the women's tournament, which starts on Thursday. So first off, currently 13-16 overall, 3-11 in
Tough games,
conference.
though. Really tough games.
Yes.
Better than the last season.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know how tough that is. This is the best season in 10 years in terms of how many wins. So that is big props to Coach Sip on that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Coach Sip.
Yeah, turning that around, especially making good use of like all of our senior talent this season with 6 seniors walking on senior day, compared to 1 on men's. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But WCU is the 8th seed. But again, that is a pretty deceptive,
Misleading,
yeah,
absolutely.
very
They've had some
misleading,
tight games.
including a previous 4-point loss to 1 seed UNCG earlier this season away at UNCG. So pretty close games overall. I think we can expect a lot of grit. Having talked to a couple of our players that are getting ready for this, there's going to be a lot of grit. That's what we've seen all season.
Absolutely.
Samford, I've been to 3 of the away games, Mercer, ETSU, and Chattanooga, and those 3 just, even though they weren't wins, I feel like the players could see a win in that just
Yeah.
because how hard they play. But just some players to watch. Obviously, don't count out any player to make a big play. We have, again, 6 seniors, players like Zenori Cruz in their last season, Chelsea Wooten.
Yeah.
We have the SOCON leader in 3-point shooting percentage, Reagan Trum, who deceptively doesn't get many minutes, but has a 41% shooting,
Nice.
which,
Solid.
again, leading. But expect AC Carter, top scorer in the SOCON, 14.7 points per game, very strong shooter.
Taja Beans has been having some decent games lately.
Taja Beans, like, I'm telling you, top 5 in the SOCON and points per game, rebounds per game, field goal percentage,
Yeah.
three-point
So we have some good players.
We have really good players
I
in
can
the
see an
squad.
upset brewing with this one.
What's interesting is Taja Beans isn't one of the seniors. Taja Beans is, I believe, a sophomore
Oh, well,
and playing
that's
like this
great.
already.
Bright
So,
future ahead for her.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm super excited to see that. Jada Burton, our SOCON assist leader, coming in at 5.3 assists per game.
Nice.
Again, very strong set of players. I think we can expect a lot from all of them, but we are coming up against UNCG, who has an 11-game win streak right now. They're 13-1 in conference. Like, this is going to be a difficult team to come up against. They only allow about 52 points per game.
Dang.
To our typical, we score on average 70.8 points per game, which is leading in SOCON. I don't know. What do you guys think for this?
I think they have a good chance of winning this. I mean, they came close when they played them. What was it? Last time they played them was at home, right?
Last UNCG was away.
Away, okay.
Yeah.
I remember the home game was very close and competitive, and they almost had them, but just couldn't finish that one out. And I think they're going to be looking to smell blood in this next matchup, and they have a good chance, I think.
I mean, it could be the last chance for a lot of those players, depending on
Absolutely.
how the offseason
Motivation is
goes
gonna
to
be
play
there for them.
Western. So hopefully they play with some effort. I think they could definitely get a win, depending on the circumstances.
Yeah, I think we just there's it's gonna be a close game. I think either way. I'm hoping Catamounts come out with the win. Obviously, I mean,
So that game's going to be on Thursday, correct?
yeah,
in Nashville?
Thursday at 11
Alright.
a.m.
Okay.
We'll be there.
All right.
But we can go through pretty quickly the other SOCON matchups.
Let's do it.
Chatty and Mercer. The last two times those two schools came up this season, it was a 20-plus point win by Chatty. It's kind of like a formality. That
The
they're
least
playing.
exciting matchup, probably.
Yeah, I mean,
Chattanooga
hey,
will probably roll.
Mercer can surprise us. Whenever I saw them play Western last week, Ashley Locke is a force to be reckoned with.
Okay.
Okay.
She was responsible for 18 points against us.
Gotcha.
Strong post player.
Good. That's
Wrong.
always good to use that.
I'd still put my money on
Yeah,
Chatty. I think.
Chatty's a strong team, though.
If I had to
Yeah.
win.
It would be more of a March upset for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I don't think. I wish the best for upsets, but I think
Chatty's
Mercer's-
been too dominant with them, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm kind of glad that we actually didn't end up having Chatty as our opponent in
No.
quarterfinals.
Yeah,
They're
probably good.
They're a little scary.
Yeah.
But then the Bucks and the Dens, the 3 seed and the 6 seed, respectively. So ETSU, I mean, they're on a 2-game win streak. They have the leader in blocks in the SOCON, Megan Downing. But I don't know. The Dens, the Furman Paladins also are coming from a 12-point loss right now
Yeah.
to the Bucks, actually.
Ooh, okay. Well, that could work both ways, I would see, because
Yeah.
one team's gonna be like, we beat them just the other day, and the other team will be like, we can't let them beat us again.
And on the other hand, though, right before that, they had a 4-point overtime win against Chattanooga, who, as we just
Ooh.
established, is
Okay.
a force.
So
Yeah,
there's some
There's
possibilities
some.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I mean, we've got a lot of strong players, some grad students at Furman that are going to put up a fight. And then my favorite matchup
Ooh,
that's
okay.
happening
There we
in
go.
the
Okay.
SOCON is Wofford-Samford. They are the 4 seed, 5 seed.
Gotcha.
The last couple times they came up against each other, they didn't win either of their home games against each other, but they have one away. And so that's makes for a weird matchup when
Yeah.
Samford won by 8 at Wofford, and Wofford won by 35 at Samford. So you see this matchup, and it's like, why are they so different? What's about to happen with this?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Wofford, Samford.
Oof, Robert Sanford. Sanford, they're not as, I would say, dangerous as their men's team is. Wofford, man, I'll give the Terriers a shot. I mean, I think they're pretty good too. Sanford also pretty decent as well. They just came off a loss to Western, but yeah.
That is very true. And one other thing about Wofford that you have to give credit to is number 3, Evangelia Polk, who is the rebound leader in the SOCON and the leader in steals at 3.4 steals per game. So they know how to
I think
be
Wofford,
very defensive.
they definitely have
Yeah.
a chance to win that game, I would say.
Sanford has a very strong 3-point shooter, second highest in the SOCON, Claire Johnson, but I think Terriers. It's going to be exciting.
It's gonna be exciting, but yeah, Terriers, I think they'll pull through.
Yeah. That is about it for the women's tournament.
Do you want to give us a quick rundown for the men's one?
Yeah, just round 1. We're not going to go super in depth because
Okay.
there's too much going on.
Too much going on, and we also want to get to our final segment.
We would like to talk about other conferences.
Conference,
Yes,
too.
I
We're
agree.
so-
We do
SOCON
love
by-
the SOCON.
we do love the
We support
SOCON.
the SOCON 100% on
We
this
do love
show.
the SOCON.
Please send us sponsorships.
Oh my gosh, SOCON. I have a SOCON hat.
All right.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can wear that.
It's orange for some reason.
Yeah.
But Mercer colors, I guess. But anyway, so men's round 1. We're looking at WCU as the 9 seed against Mercer, the 8 seed. They just played Saturday, and it was a 12-point loss for the Catamounts at Mercer. But whenever they played at home at the beginning of the season,
They
or
did.
conference season, we did beat Mercer. So I think it was
There's a
by
path.
4 points.
I think
There's a path.
I think they were more just ready for this tournament game rather than playing a regular season. Because why pull out all the tactics against them when you're going to play them?
One would hope that Kraft has some ideas up his sleeve.
I think they can pull something off. They need to be fresher and be prepared for full court and just
they need to hit their 3
hit the three. 3-pointers, make your shots,
Yeah.
basketball stuff.
Yeah, we've seen some not so great performances from some of these games, but the men's team has also been pulling through some of these recent games. They had on the week of Senior Day, they actually had 2 back-to-back wins at home. ETSU being the big one because Blue Ridge border battle and
Absolutely.
all that.
Bragging rights.
But
Gotta get
also
that.
Citadel marking at that time their 18th straight loss
Poor
or 17th
Citadel.
or something like that.
At least we aren't Citadel.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, poor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, just players to watch for that again. Bernard Plout.
I would say, yeah.
Big storyline there is
Final-
this could be his
this
last
final
game.
I'll be
game
very
as a-
sad
as
to
a
see
catamount,
Polo go
yeah.
after all these years.
I would look for Marcus Kell.
Marcus Kell has
He's
been
been
31
yeah.
point game, 29
Recent athlete
point
of the
game.
week on our newscast.
Yeah, he had 2 SOCON of the.
He was
athlete
on a
of the week
streak. Yeah.
in a row. Like he's a force. If he gets on fire, then I think Mercer's gonna have to watch out. But I don't know. It's gonna be tough. The last game that before Mercer's win against us was a 1-point road loss against ETSU. Mercer's a tough team. They're pretty deceptive with their being in the 8th seed, but we'll see. And then last game, I'm not going to go too in depth. VMI Citadel. I mean, Citadel's on a 21-game.
God, that's more of like the.
They've never won
At
a
this
road
point, I'm
game.
kind of just rooting for them.
I
to
know.
get
I'm
a-
just
get a
like, if
game
they can
away
get a
from
game
home,
in, I think that might be one. I mean, VMI, they're okay, but Citadel's got upset written on them.
Yeah, that's very true. I think VMI, they have beat Furman this year, which is a crazy thing to see. I think they also might have beat Chatty at some point.
Yeah.
They're a force, but Citadel has kept it close in almost in most of their games. I won't say all of them, but they've kept some.
They have
crazy-
been.
3 overtime games at home. They have one big player to watch, Brody Fox, number 10, 16.7 points per game. For a school that hasn't won a single SOCON game or road game,
It's a pretty good
that's
player.
a pretty high.
Hopefully he
average
doesn't
points
transfer.
Well, I don't know what Citadel will do. if that
Oh
happens.
man, they might.
They'll lose
Not only
every
just-
home game as well.
They might not win a game.
I think the military school battle is definitely.
That
It'll
would
be
be-
competitive.
Yeah.
I think so,
VMI's
too.
got the.
I think VMI's got it. If Citadel wins it, good for them. Upset, love upsets. So yeah.
Give me the Citadel.
Do you wanna go
I'll
Citadel?
support them.
Okay.
It might not work, but I'm going to
I'll go
support
Citadel.
them.
I'm
with
gonna
all my
take
heart.
it too.
This is,
All
I think
three of
this
us?
is the March Madness.
This is the
upset.
game they
Yeah,
will
this is-
win.
This is the SOCON upset.
We're rooting
and they're
for
gonna
you,
lose
Citadel.
after that
Yes.
because they're gonna go
You
against
get blown
someone
out by 20.
Yeah, it'll be Chattanooga or UNCG next.
Yeah.
So
We're rooting for you, Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Pulled off. Yeah.
not Sanford Bulldogs though.
No,
We
not
don't-
Sanford.
no,
No. We want the Citadel
Yes.
Bulldogs.
Win the SOCON.
Yes.
All right, we're gonna go into our last segment of this show, which is going to be talking about the kind of bigger name colleges. Love SoCon, but let's go and talk about some of the more prominent ones. So I guess we'll start off with the one that's kind of been known for their basketball. Let's talk about the ACC.
Okay.
Repping my beloved
Yeah.
Pitt Panthers here. Do I think they'll win the ACC? Not really, but hoping they can do it. You never know. NC State pulled off a major run last year, and this Pitt team,
Shout out DJ Burns.
And
DJ
DJ
Burns, shout out to him. He should play offensive lineman for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
But this team, they're scrappy. They're good. They're not great. They've beaten UNC, but I'm sure a lot of teams have beaten UNC this year.
Yeah.
Tar Heels has not been great this year, but surprisingly, the Tigers for Clemson have been, and they're a dark horse, I would say, to win the tournament this year. I'm going to say my final for that would probably be, I don't know what the bracket's going to look like.
Yeah.
They're not out
Sure,
yet, but I would say my final might be Duke-Clemson. So, what would you guys say?
I think Duke is probably going to make it pretty far as well. They have Cooper Flagg, who's
Cooper
probably going to
Flagg.
be the #1 pick in the draft coming up soon. They've got a pretty strong team. They've pretty much outshone the UNC, Chapel Hill. Well, they are Chapel Hill, but
Absolutely.
I think Duke probably has it in them.
I also think too. So.
Yeah, give me Duke too.
Okay. I guess moving over to the other side, the women's bracket, which is maybe a little more intriguing, I would say.
Yeah.
Got Notre Dame in there, got Louisville. There's a bunch of really good basketball schools in there as well. you got NC State too. They're doing great on the women's side. I would say they have a good chance of winning the tournament
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
So, yeah.
I'd say I have faith in Notre Dame. They've been playing pretty well
They've been playing
in
good.
that division this year. I think Notre Dame NC State would be a pretty fun final.
Oh, that would be a great
Yeah.
finals too. Both teams national championship contending. So, let's say them too.
I think probably Notre Dame. I mean, they're one of, not to like jump ahead to a different conference, but they're one of 3 schools total to beat UConn's
Yeah,
women's
they've
team.
been
And
this
that's a
year.
really good women's team too.
And so, like, I think Notre Dame's got to be.
Which I think we all can say that UConn, I guess, transitioning into that for women's, is probably going to be the Big East. Though they might
Yeah,
face a
probably. Yeah,
little.
There's like no shot.
Yeah.
They're undefeated in conference.
Yeah,
That's pretty good.
that's pretty good. They're a pretty
They
good
lost
team.
3 games over an entire season.
If I
one
had
of
it-
which was South Carolina, which they then brought back and then ended South Carolina's 71-game home winning streak.
Dang,
Dang, that is
71
at
games
home.
is crazy.
At home, wow. I would say them. If it wasn't for Caitlin Clark in Iowa last year, I would say they would have been in the national championship against
Probably.
USC.
I mean, the like game ender basically was Caitlin Clark like
That was
passing
an awesome
the
game.
inbounding the ball against Paige Becker's back because her back was fully turned, and that wasted some second points.
I remember watching that game
Like-
too. I was right after a workout. I was like, "Oh, there's some good women's games on." So I turned on. I was like, "Oh man, intense!" And
What a way to end it.
What a way
Caitlin
to-
Clark just plays smart.
Yeah,
yeah, she
Well, that's
does.
why she was such a high pick.
Yeah,
She's
and I
pretty
think
great.
I think we're gonna see the same from
Paige
Paige
is
Becker.
definitely going to
Paige is definitely going to be
say.
something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, hit her 2,000 career points this year.
I'm just glad she's come back from all those injuries. She's sustained back to playing good
That's
basketball.
great. Yeah, that's great. Moving over to a conference that Owen is more familiar with,
Yes.
the Southeastern Conference, with his Georgia Bulldogs.
They've been balling out.
They've been
lately.
balling out. They have a good chance. I
They
mean,
beat
obviously,
Florida, they beat Texas. You know, if we win these last 2 games, I think they got to put us in that bracket.
I don't know, they might. It is a tough conference. You got
Yeah.
Bama, Auburn, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Kentucky's been on a bit of a slide, as well as Arkansas. You know, they're in the mix as well. But yeah, a lot of good teams in this Southeastern Conference, and also the women's side. I mean, South Carolina, LSU.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now. There's the Lady Vols.
Yes, gotta love the Eagles.
We got all of them. Like, that is going to be a very intense tournament, I would think, for both sides.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I had Florida pretty high, but then we ended up beating them, which I didn't really expect, considering my Florida friends and family were all like, "You hired our coach away, and he stinks." And then we beat them with their old coach this year.
Yeah.
So that game was pretty vindicated for me. So I'm like, Florida, maybe you're not all that great. Maybe you just need to take a step back.
Absolutely. I think they're have a good chance as well. But I think, oh man, Auburn's been doing really well this year.
Auburn's been very good.
They've been very good. So has been like Tennessee, Alabama also in there as well. But I don't know. I think I'm going to take South Carolina for women's. They've been doing pretty well. I think they've been the most dominant.
That's
They've
a
been
good pick.
picking up where they left off, which was national championship. And I think their goal is to repeat. And I mean,
Yeah.
I would say that they have the best odds. So.
I'd definitely say South Carolina in the women's side. That's definitely got the best odds.
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
I'm gonna, yeah. So, I think so too. I think moving on to a conference that's not been known for really hoops as much lately, but with the expansion of the Pac-12 teams, especially with USC, Juju Watkins, spectacular
Yeah.
against UCLA this past weekend, and yeah, Michigan basketball is also back too. That's
They
been
have been playing.
they've
pretty
been
well,
playing good
yeah.
for men's team. I mean,
After the Juwan Howard era. you know.
absolutely. So what do you guys think about that?
I like Michigan.
You like
I think they've come back a lot. I don't know if they're gonna win the whole thing, but I think they're gonna make it further than they have before.
Absolutely. For the Big Ten as well. I think USC on the women's side has really been playing well,
Yeah,
especially
USC's
having
been great.
one of the best players, one of the best young players. If it ain't Paige Beckers, it's probably Juju Watkins. And
Yep.
I would say that my best bet is that they're going to be up there. And I would love to see a UConn USC Final Four if we get that, or any matchup in March Madness. I would love to see it. So.
I saw a really cool clip where it was like Juju Watkins, I believe, had just scored like an awesome layup or
Oh,
something,
yeah.
and then she like high fives one of the USC Hall of Famers on the bench, and then she's going down. Like, that's just got to be one of the coolest things you can do in the college level.
Absolutely. It is going to be a March to remember, boys. I can't
God.
wait for the madness. I can't wait for the upsets. I know we're going to do our brackets.
Of course.
And we're going to come back here and realize what bad decision led us
Yep.
to not getting.
Yep.
No, I'm gonna win it.
You're going to win it?
I
Yeah.
did last year.
I did
with
pretty well in
friends.
my
I did
Oscars
pretty-
bracket yesterday. at
Oh,
least,
did you
so
for
maybe I
Oscars?
can continue that bracket going well.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. I did pretty well too last year. I had UConn winning it. I think I had, what was it, UConn and probably, I had UConn in my national championship, but I don't know who I had as my other one.
I had NC
I think I
State
had
going
Duke,
into
maybe.
into the Final Four last year.
Did
which was,
you?
But yeah,
Me
which
too.
was
Man.
that worked out pretty well.
I did
for
not
me.
think NC State.
So I don't know. Maybe we'll do better this year.
I did not think NC State was going to go that
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
I didn't think they would beat their first opponent. I thought they were just more like they catched a streak, but didn't do it.
Yeah,
But
worked out well.
that is going to do it for us in today's episode of WeTS. Thank you guys once again for joining us, and we'll be taking a break next week for spring break, and we'll be seeing you guys next-ish week, I would say.
At some point.
At some
in the
point
future.
in the future, NFL free agency and everything else. But thank you guys once again for joining us.
Thank you to our guest.
Thank
Chats
you,
with Cats
Alex,
co-host,
for joining
or
us.
Chats with Cats host Alexander Hoffman.
Thank
Yes, and
And-
as always,
Go Cats.
Cats.